Well, good afternoon. My name's Martin Oliver. I'm Managing Director of the Great Dorset Steam Fair. We're here today on the disused airfield of Tarrant Rushmore, Dorset, to discuss the original control tower from which the gliders took off from here on the 6th of June 1944, which was the start of D-Day. I was talking to a couple of colleagues of mine from the Steam Fair in recent weeks, and it came to light that the control tower, which was dismantled in 1979, was taken to a local scrapyard owned by the Smith family of Oakfit, Spain. And Louis Smith from the family is here today, along with Rowley Moores, who looks after our World War II and I section at the Great Dorset Steam Fair. So Rowley's here with me. And Rowley,
yes,
I was quite astounded when you came to see me about a month back and said you'd had an amazing find for me to hear.
Yeah, well, exactly what happened is that Louis Smith, whose yard the tower is in, said to me, whilst I was constructing the World War II area, oh, you know, we've got the tower from Tarrant Rushmore, RAF Tarrant Rushmore, still in the yard. It went quite straight over my head. This was several months ago. So having checked out the history and the facts, it turns out that Tarrant Rushmore was the airfield from which the first wave of troops from the Ox and Bucks Light Infantry under Major Howard left shortly before midnight, so on June 5th, for Normandy.
Yes.
And they were the first troops on the ground, and they in fact took the bridges over the Caen Canal and the River Orne that were then known as Pegasus and Horsa bridges.
You can't really underestimate the significance of this airfield and that particular day, because in fact the liberation of Europe really began that
here.
moment, didn't
Yeah,
it?
it did.
In
yeah.
Dorset here,
Yeah.
which ironically is only 5 miles across the fields there to the home of the Great Dorset Steam Fair. It's an amazing story.
Yeah, the fact that the tower has survived nigh on 40 years after its demolition.
The vast majority of people would assume that the tower was long gone.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah,
And the fact that it's being found
absolutely
in the very
absolutely.
resting place that it was put 40 years back is an amazing thing.
And the fact that it was in a scrapyard that normally would have been dismantled and sent on for scrap.
But I'd like to introduce you now to Louis Smith. He's one of the sons of Vic Smith, who actually had the contract to dismantle some of the buildings here, I think, Louis, that's right, isn't it? And you were only 13 years old in those days.
Yeah, so Dad got the contract back in, I think it was 79, 80, if I remember rightly, to knock the whole place down. Well, I'd have been 13 and my brother would have been 15.
Did they cut the legs off with gas?
Yeah. Dad cut the legs down with gas, and I remember it quite well. And I remember walking into the tower, and I remember how it was inside. I remember there was a really light blue, and the controls inside, which, talking about the controls inside, when we took it back to the yard, which incidentally was taken back on an old TK Bedford, and we went through Blandford, because at the time there was no bypass, so we had to go through Blandford, back through to Stickland, back to the yard. This tower is 13 feet wide. The bottom line of it was, the traffic was a lot less, but nevertheless we still was meeting all obstacles going back. And I remember sitting in this thing, just Dad saying, just keep your eye on the mirror, keep your eye on the mirror, as we went back. And Dad originally said he saved it. Now the reason I think it got saved was mainly because he was going to build a house, and he wanted to use this as a summer house.
Oh, right.
Because it had, a lovely history to it.
Yeah.
So bottom line of it was, never got used for that. And slowly but surely, with 2 boys working in the yard coming up, the yard got more busy, more full.
Yeah.
The scrap just got a lot more, and suddenly this thing just slowly but surely disappeared.
Overgrown with hedgerow and things.
Hedgerow, scrap.
Covered in scrap.
Yeah.
It's not just important to D-Day either. It's so significant because not only that, after D-Day itself, it was used for Operation Market Garden.
Yeah.
The less successful operation into Holland. They flew Dakotas out of Tarrant Rushmore with ammunition and supplies for the French resistance movement, and it's one of the few airfields that when the war ended wasn't really decommissioned, and it was taken over by flight refuelling, and they didn't actually become redundant until the late 70s.
Yeah,
we also decided it had to be done this year with the 75th anniversary of D-Day.
Yeah.
It was something that important to the D-Day and the liberation of Europe that it had to be done this
Well,
year.
ever since the Great Dorset Steam Fair started 51 years ago, my father being the chief founder, we're noted for doing extraordinary things. And I'd have to say this is probably one of those.
Most
It's right at the top of the list, because when you think of the significance of it
Yeah,
historically, it's just incredible.
one off.
It is. Well, chaps, thank you very much for meeting me here today on the old disused Tarrant Rushton airfield. Really interesting chat about things there. I'm absolutely thrilled that the old control tower from here will be at the Great Dorset Steam Fair later this month, and I'd like to thank you both for all your help in making it happen. Thank you.
Okay.
Pleasure, Martin.
Thank you very much. Well, it's been really fascinating speaking to Rolly and Louis regarding the control tower. I'm absolutely thrilled about the situation, in as much as it's coming to the Great Dorset Steam Fair on the 22nd to the 26th of August this year. It is an incredible find. It will be the first time this control tower at Tarrant Rushton will be seen in public for over 40 years. So hope to see you then, Great Dorset Steam Fair, later this month, 22nd to the 26th of August. Thank you.